What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Bear Show. I'm Ivan Vargas. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. And you should definitely do that because draft season is upon us, and there's going to be a lot of tape breakdowns from some of the top prospects by our, by our own DDP draft Dr. Phil. Of course, the smartest man Shane Marsaw, and I'm sure Cars will be adding his 2 cents as well. But today, speaking of the combine and speaking of draft prospects, we had Ryan Poles speak to the media live from the combine. The combine pretty much is starting today. Technically, they're going to start meeting with guys, um, start evaluating some guys as far as who they are personally. Maybe get to know a little bit of the football side as well. But I think that right now they're trying to gauge at who the men are that they're going to be, potentially drafting to their football team. So, right now I felt like the interview was very basic, not a lot revealed, but some people are reading the tea leaves and saying that Ryan Poles has pretty much given you the answer to the quarterback question here in Chicago. But without further ado, let me go ahead and let us get into this. Here's Ryan Poles, courtesy of Fox 32 Chicago at the Combine.
All right, so I'll jump right in, kind of update on topics that have happened since the last time I spoke. So first, I just want to congratulate all of our guys that got into the Hall of Fame. I know our fans have been waiting, and they've been waiting for a long time. So I know the entire organization's really excited for them. Flus hit it yesterday. Excited about our coaching staff we put together moving forward. Shane and Eric and the rest of the crew, we're in good hands. They're going to do a really good job. I think Coach hit on all the topics: teachers, communicators. Shane's got a really good feel for both the run and the pass game, ability to adapt and adjust and the things that we're looking for. So we're really pumped about that. Cody and Eddie, I know we put out a piece on them, but just want to say thank you to them for what they've done for the Bears. We felt like it was the right time to give them an opportunity to go test the market, see what's out there for them. I wanted to do right by them and do it as early as possible so they can put their plans in place. But really thankful for their leadership and everything they brought to the organization. Jaylen Johnson, in the process of getting Jaylen Johnson done, conversations are going well at this time. We feel like we've
Can
done a really
everybody
good
else
job,
hear it?
kind of coming to the table strong, showing the respect that he's due just in terms of his production through his career, and really an emphasis on the turnovers that he created this past year.
All right,
Our expectations.
let me stop the video real quick. Nobody can hear it right now, huh? Let me let's see. Stop sharing it for a second. And forgive me, I have no control over the audio. I'm just saying if maybe it is on my end, but it doesn't seem to be on my end. So once again, let's just all blame who is to blame, and that will be Bears Media for having shitty mics and shitty sound.
When I say coming strong, that means cash flows are strong, guarantees are strong. The term is strong for him. Um, Being hit with his age, there's a really good opportunity for him to go
Well,
back to
Angela could hear it.
and continue to earn money and play well, and hopefully that's with the Bears for a long period of time. So I'm excited about that. Like I've said about those deals all the time, it takes two to tango, and you got to find a place that everyone feels comfortable with. So I feel really good about that situation. Now, the hot topic, uh, the first pick, quarterback situation. Contrary to reports out there, I have no master plan to present to everyone today. This is an opportunity for us to continue to gather information, learn about the different players in the draft, listen to what opportunities could come up. And then at the end of the day, we're going to make the best decision that we can for the Chicago Bears. It will not be based on fear of what could happen with this and what could happen with that. We're going to put our information together and make the best decision, because at the end of the day, we'll always throw our decision making against kind of our core kind of deal, which is win championships and sustain success for a long period of time. There's a lot that goes into that, but we're excited to gather that information and create clarity as we go along.
Right.
So,
What is your if you decide to draft a quarterback? What is your motivation to trade Justin before free agency starts, knowing that there might be a premium on it?
Yeah, again, it just depends on what opportunities pop up. I will say this: I think you guys know me well enough now. I do. If we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin as well. No one wants to live in gray. I know
Who
that's
is that,
uncomfortable.
Chris?
I wouldn't want to be in that
Who's coming?
situation either. So we'll gather the information. We'll move as quickly as possible. We're not going to be in a rush, and see what presents itself and what's best for the organization.
Did you talk to him? I know he made those comments last week about kind of living in limbo on this. Have you had conversations with him about where you guys are at right now in that process?
Yeah, so I've always felt, and I told him this after the season when we had our exit meetings, that transparency and communication is key in these moments, and I told him we will do that. So I've been in contact with his team and kind of let them know like what we're looking at, how things might play out, and that we'll continue to communicate as we move forward. Again, I understand how uncomfortable that is for him, but again, like I told him, and he understands. I think he said it the other day too. It's part of this business. It is a unique situation. So, but yeah, I'll continue that communication with
Ryan,
them.
having been part of the evaluation process in Kansas City in 2017 with Mahomes, how has that experience helped shape the way you go about evaluating quarterbacks and things you do in that regard?
Yeah, my background is I'm really fortunate to kind of see multiple phases and different types of processes put in place, with bringing a quarterback in from a trade to drafting. So again, there's a process that we've learned in terms of tape watching and getting to know guys and bringing them in and spending time with them to feel comfortable with that setup. So I can definitely tap into that experience.
Ryan, in terms of Jaylen Johnson, you said things are going well with him. Do you think it's more likely that there's a long-term deal with him than the franchise tag?
I hope so. I'd like to avoid the franchise tag for him. I think there's a really good space for us to find a middle ground. Again,
Yeah, and to the I should have highlighted it, but I believe there was a question earlier about whether JJ should be traded or not, or if we should move on from him. I I don't want to move on from him. He definitely has shown me a lot more than I thought he was going to show me this year. Uh, Granted, it is a contract year, and sometimes you get guys that you know perform above standards, and then all of a sudden they get this money, and they end up turning into they end up turning into not the player that we expected to have consistently for a long period of time. Uh, there was also comparisons to Eddie Jackson and how Eddie Jackson's game kind of fell off. There's a lot of variables that go into why Eddie Jackson fell off, but I really do believe that contract and partially having that generational wealth might have contributed to making business decisions out on the football field. Injuries might have, played a part in that too. But nonetheless, I think Jaylen Johnson stays, whether it be a new lengthy contract or a franchise tag, regardless, of what anybody else says out there.
we always have the tag to use, but I really would like to get something done long term.
Ryan, how do you view philosophically? How do you view the draft assets you have, picking first and ninth? You would theoretically be targeting star players if you kept those picks,
Yep.
versus converting those into more picks, but they are lesser picks.
Yeah, that goes into the equation, right? I mean, you got to look at what's there in that area in terms of drafting. Again, you got to listen to the trade. Like you don't trade back one, trade back two, trade back 15. Like that changes the dynamic based on where the board is set up. I think I talked about that last year. We'll end up counting the guys in certain spaces that we feel like can be impact players for our team. So that goes in the equation as well. Um, but I think it's a really good opportunity to improve our football team. And the other thing is like very open and understand that draft picks are just opportunity, right? You got to capture that. You got to be right with your draft picks. So we understand that as well.
Just on the process of evaluating the quarterbacks, obviously at the top of the draft, there have been a lot of misses at the quarterback position. Yeah. What have you maybe learned about what goes into making a player, a great quarterback at the next level?
Yeah, there's a lot there, right? It's like, what's the infrastructure look like? What's around the player? I think that's key. I think that's probably messed with the numbers a lot when you're talking about the top of the draft. I think that's what makes our situation unique and why we have to really do a deep dive into it. I think the person is a huge part. I've talked about that a lot. What's the makeup, the leadership? How do they handle pressure? How do they handle pressure in a big city like ours? So a lot of those factors go in.
Ryan, I know you said you
Real quick, I wanted to answer Leonidas. So I totally agree, Leonidas. It all plays together, and I believe Eberflus said as much. Like, you're gonna see the takeaways come once the pressure gets there. Like, this defense relies on a lot of pressure on pressure getting to the quarterback, forcing off tilted throws, forcing making him force throws into coverage, things like that. So the pressure, the secondary, the coverage relies on the pressure, and they work together that way. I totally agree that it didn't really kick up until Sweat, but you have to also, acknowledge that Jaylen Johnson was shutting down receivers even before Sweat got there. Maybe the interception numbers didn't, weren't quite there like you wanted. And, all of a sudden he had like this boom, and also the Bears as a team, their turnover numbers went up. But I still think Jaylen was doing enough as a cornerback at his position on his own to warrant them thinking about going ahead and giving him a multi-million-dollar contract for however much it may be, 19, 20 million dollars. I'm expecting Jaylen to begin at like maybe 23, 24 million dollars, and then they try to work something out. But I don't think Jaylen Johnson's going to go anywhere, in my opinion.
gonna make a big reveal today in terms of what you're doing.
I have nothing to reveal.
I totally
I wish I did.
Yeah, I know. That's what I wait. Yeah, that's what I wait. I totally understand that. But do you have an idea, like what's the percentage of what you think you know right now ahead of the combine? Like, how important is the combine in making the decision?
Yeah, right now it's like 100 different scenarios that you go down and try to plot out, and you're forecasting forward to see what's going to work out and probabilities and things like that. But at the end of the day, the human being part, getting to know someone, getting to know a group of people is really going to determine that. There's going to be options that pop up all the time that you don't see coming. I think I said it last year. Like, something will happen at some point in the next few months that no one expects.
Right.
So you got to be on your toes for that. So the picture will change as we go.
If you trade the number one
mindset this year with the number one role and what you had last year at this time?
No, I mean, it's unique, right? But I would say our approach is exactly the same in terms of we got to look at every option and determine what is best for our team. Obviously, we chose to trade back last year, and I think that helped our team out a lot. So
just crack someone's phone, Ryan.
And see how it plays out.
How are you evaluating the prospects and gathering information? Do you have any concern at all that Caleb Williams or the team around him don't want to play in Chicago?
No concerns about that at all. I would love to know why, if that was the case. Like I said, I think, as a young quarterback, and I've been around it, the infrastructure is important, and I think we've made really good progress in terms of having really good infrastructure for whoever were to come in, or if Justin were to stay here as well.
In terms of your quarterback evaluation when you were in Kansas City, Cliff Kingsbury said that Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams are eerily similar. When you watch the tape, do you see that?
There's pieces that are similar. Obviously, the one that stands out to everyone is just different arm angles. That's a unique trait. Not a lot of guys can do that. I give Jeff King, who's on my team, credit. He painted a picture of, there's two types of quarterbacks. There's artists and then there's surgeons. So within that group, you can kind of see who's the artist that's really creative, doesn't draw within the lines, where there's more of surgeons who are, like your typical, like the Bradys and Peytons. So you kind of branch them out on those buckets and go from there. So that's where they're similar.
Is there a percentage you prefer with artists and surgeons?
No, winners.
If you do move off the number one pick, we've heard crazy, we've heard historic, all those adjectives used for the amount of compensation you need. What are you looking for?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now, but it's got to help our organization significantly to move around, because we saw what it did last year, and I'm looking for that.
Is that Super Tramp?
Continue to improve our football team.
When do you want to know what you're going to do?
Tomorrow.
No, in all seriousness.
And for you young kids, Super Tramp is not a curse word. I mean, it might be.
I would
Call
let
your
you know
mom a
as soon
super
as
tramp.
Possible.
Right.
I mean, I would love to know, but I know that's not how the process works. there's sure the 4 agency would be good. Like I said, I'm also taking, if we were to do something with Justin, like I want to do right by him. And I know, again, living in that gray space, you would want to do something sooner rather than later. Um, but just like I talk about with contracts, it takes 2 teams to figure that out. Um, but at the same time, we're also trying to figure out the draft process as well. So there's a lot of different things with different timelines going, and that's what makes it a little
Ryan,
bit
as
difficult.
part of your process over the next 6 weeks, what do you see as the best ways for you to evaluate the wiring of quarterbacks? What do you like to do to learn who they are?
Yeah, spend time. Spend time. Any type of relationship, it's time on task and um, just kind of getting to know the personality. There's been a ton of information gathering from my team, just in terms of teammates, coaches, things like that. But you got to spend time with another person, really understand the wiring.
What are you trying to feel out in that process? What are you looking for from that?
Yeah, you look for examples of dependability. You're looking selflessness, leadership, ownership. I think it's hard these days to find people that hey, this is wrong, and it's like, yeah, it was wrong. This is what I have to do to correct it, rather than just kind of BSing your way through it. So, yeah, with time on task and spending time with these guys, you'll get to know some of those things.
Are you expecting a busier combine than usual? Like, I'm imagining you're going to be a pretty popular guy this week. Everybody wants to buy you dinner and talk about all these different assets that you might trade. I mean, is it going to be a different combine for you?
Yeah.
Real quick, I'd imagine it'd be around, I don't know, maybe 30%, maybe a little less. I don't know how percentages work or when it comes to guaranteed money. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I'm a contract guru, but if we're talking $21 million for what, 3 years, 4 years, so we're looking at 84 mil, somewhere around there. I would say you'd want to keep about, as close to half of that as you can. I don't know how. Like I said, again, I'm not a contract guru. I don't crunch numbers. I don't math well, but I'm quite sure you'd want to keep about 30 to 40% of that guaranteed money.
Feels that way. Yeah.
Has it already started?
Oh yeah, my phone won't stop.
How aggressive are people with fishing for information from other teams to see what you want to do?
Yeah, it starts slow. We were at the Senior Bowl. I know people are kind of poking around. I haven't had like big time conversations with anyone, but everyone wants to, take a temperature of what's going on.
Every time someone approaches you.
Yeah.
How would you say last year's trade worked out for you guys, for the Panthers, and even Houston that didn't get the number 1 pick?
Yeah. I'll only comment on us. I thought it worked out really well. Just adding 2 good players like Darnell and DJ. Had no idea this would work out where it'd be the first overall pick, but I would say that's successful. And then, a future 2 as well. So it worked out well for us, and we'll keep growing off of that.
You know how universally loved Justin is by this team. Have you thought about what that conversation is going to be like if you do trade him, what you're going to like delivering that message to the team?
Yeah. He's a leader. Everything our guys have said, it's true, and not surprised our guys have said what they have said. I feel the same way. And I think sometimes this whole thing gets, Justin versus another person. And I have to look at it a little bit differently. I take that into effect. That's why the person is so important when we evaluate other people that would come in that position. But also it's my job to think of the long term, and a lot of our guys kind of don't see that. That's not their job to do that, and they defend their guy, which I think speaks volumes about our culture and our locker room.
I mean, you've made big trades before. Would that cause is there anxiety that comes with that for someone who would have to deliver that sort of news?
No, because I have faith in our ability to communicate with our guys, and when we do that, I think they'll know that it's in the best interest of the team. And I think as we've moved along here, I think the trust factor is there, that they're in good hands with however we decide to kind of play.
When you
Timeline-
two more guys,
Timeline-wise, for the college quarterbacks, do you really need to get all the way to private workouts, bringing them into the building to know? And how would that impact your decision?
Got lasers going off? What the hell's going on?
Yeah. So, again, there's a lot of different timelines going. So being creative with finding time.
Okay, am I crazy? Did anybody just hear the volume change? Like, was there a difference to you guys between like 5 seconds ago and just right now? Because it seems like for some reason, I had Ryan playing in one headphone, and now I could hear it in both headphones. So I don't know what the hell's going on over there.
To spend with the different prospects, and if we can get
Yeah, see, Anthony's on it too.
help come to a conclusion and kind of fill in all the boxes that should be
If,
filled in.
if you would identify a quarterback prospect as your guy, is there any price that can move you off of your guy?
Would be our guy, right? Like it's not about me at all. That's hard to answer right now because I need kind of the whole puzzle put together to figure that out. Yep.
That was Ryan Poles live from the combine. It was around 9:45 when he took the podium, took the mic or what have you. Gave you, like pretty much straightforward what he's looking for, what you should expect them to be doing here, learning about guys that they may be interested in. Also addressed Caleb, and they didn't mention Caleb. It's a quarterback to be named, and Justin Fields, and the ongoing back and forth between the fan base and people in the know about who the Bears should draft. He spoke on, and we also talked about it on Friday. He spoke on getting Justin the opportunity sooner rather than later to, if he's going to trade him, to get him up to speed with his new team, so he has the time to settle down, because he mentioned the relationship there between them, that they don't want to do wrong by Justin if they were going to go that route and select whoever it may be. Obviously, we're all thinking Caleb Williams number one, but they want to give Justin the best opportunity he can to succeed, even if they were trying to trade him. So look into that how you want. I really, to me, it's still a bunch of nothing. But we talked about, if there's going to be something going down, I expect it to be, now that the combine has started, if they have an offer they can't refuse, offered to them at the combine for Justin Fields or for the number one pick or what have you, I don't think there'll be a move until next week at the very latest. But we talked about it before. This thing could drag all the way up until the very day of the draft. So, regardless of what I'm telling you, I just feel like that there's a collective push to not say a damn thing and to give you all the cliche answers from the Chicago Bears. Even Ryan, you saw, almost slipped up and mentioned a name, but had to say, a certain quarterback, just to keep it PC. You don't want to go ahead tipping your hand, excuse me. Well, we all know who it is. We all know who he's talking about. We understand what's at stake here. And quite honestly, I feel like Ryan Poles, the way he handled that, it gives me more confidence in him making the decisions, right? Not necessarily making the decision that I want, but making the correct decision for the Chicago Bears moving forward. There was still questions about Ryan, this past season, but he continues to handle himself well. If he could find a way to please everybody, I'm sure he can. He would do that. But there's going to be people that are going to be upset. The thing is that you're going to have to realize, and I hope that they will, whatever side you're on, you'll realize that we just want the Bears to win. The goal is for the Bears to win the Super Bowl, regardless of it's Justin Fields, Joe Blow, whoever the hell they want to put at quarterback, whoever they want to put on their roster. We want the Bears to succeed, and I truly believe that Ryan Poles has the answers to that. But we're going to have to wait and find out. We're going to have to just sit here and wait and see. Guys, I'm Ivan Vargas. I wanted to give you that little bit of Ryan Poles' interview. Actually, it was the entire interview from Ryan Poles earlier this morning at the Combine, talking about the Bears situation, from the quarterback spot to the interviews with the potential draftees in the 2004 NFL draft. Okay, so I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to go get ready for work. I appreciate you guys joining me. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you become the patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. Wednesday night, we have Kenneth Davis joining Keeping It 100, talking to Phil and Shane and everybody else. Hopefully you guys are able to join that. It should be a great show. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoyed it. Thank you for coming out. Peace.